So we're gonna talk about the movie They Clone Tyrone. So if you're not familiar, if you don't know, Netflix released this movie titled They Cloned Tyrone. It came out on July the 21st. Now I'm currently making this video on July the 23rd. So I've seen the movie a couple of times now since it's come out. I've got a lot of thoughts on it, so I decided I'm gonna share those thoughts with you all in this particular video because it's obvious, right? They talking about clones, but are they talking about clones the way we see it? Is it that simple? Is it really that laid out? Or is it more to it? Now, granted, it's going to be a lot of breakdowns on this movie. And no one breakdown is going to be correct. It's just everybody's own perception of what they can spiritually see from their eye when they watch this particular movie, which is cool. It's like it's art, you know? People interpret art in different ways and in different manners. So I'm going to give y'all my interpretation of what I got from this particular movie. And it was a lot of things in here. And you know, let's just go ahead and get into it, right? So it's a black exploitation film. So we know when we're looking at black exploitation, we know what that entails. We know that it's gonna be about the man, right? So we know these particular type of movies came about in the 70s and 80s, and it was a way of honestly putting info into the movies. All your black movies really have been that way, even when it doesn't really appear to be, even when it looks like it's just a regular old comedy. There's an underlying spiritual message in it. Why? Because it's artistic expression. When you're talking about movies, when you're talking about a cast, these are a lot of spiritual components and pieces that make up a ritual, which is why a lot of rituals are performed via Hollywood. Why? Because of the repetition. Because you're repeatedly seeing the same images, repeatedly absorbing the same messages. So subconsciously, you gonna reenact these messages that you absorb or that you take in, whether you realize it or not. Now, I will say this was a funny ass movie, so I had no problems with watching this more than one time because it was funny. I mean, it's Jamie Foxx. You know, we love Jamie Foxx, and we know over the past few months, Jamie has been dealing with health issues. A lot of people have been saying a lot of things conspiracy related, not to mention he's in a movie about cloning, right? So this shit almost seems too obvious. It almost seems too fucking obvious. I mean, at least it does to me, you know, because the thing with these movies, they always have a sense of mockery to them, you know, because when you know, you know. But they have still an underlying truth. So the things that they are ready to openly tell you are the things that they have been doing for decades. So they're just not ready to tell you about it because, well, they've been doing ongoing this type of thing, studied it already. So it's okay to put it out to the public. Just like, you know, after years and years and years, they're releasing a lot of those government hidden classified documents. So you can now look a lot of that information up, right? But there's a lot of underlying truth in these type of movies as well. You know what I'm saying? Beyond just that direct truth, because that direct truth sometimes, or what they want to directly tell you, like I said, it can be along the lines of mockery. You start to feel like, damn, why they playing this? Why they playing in our face like this? And it's because they got to give you what you already know from the surface, but they still giving you more to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of people are having a conversation. Do they really clone people? Are they cloning celebrities? You know what I'm saying? Now, I will say this. I do believe that at the highest levels or the most elite people in society will probably have access to the highest forms of technology. So if cloning is a possibility, which they done shown us, they've been cloning animals forever. Y'all watched the movie 6 Day. They was telling the public, hey, we clone animals, but they weren't telling the public they was cloning people. So watch that movie the 6 Day if you really big into the whole cloning type of thing. So yes, I absolutely believe there's a higher form of technology. I mean, they somewhat are telling us this because they are letting you know that they want you to be able to transfer your consciousness. That's pretty much the same thing if you transfer your consciousness to another body, to another system, whatever the case may be. That's pretty much along the same lines of technology, right? So for me, the way I see it is really more like a distraction of the imagination, because you know something is off. You know there's a lot of things that's not right in this place, that's not right in this world. So it's better for me to direct you to what's wrong in the environment versus what's going on inside of you. Because if you realize what's going on inside of you and you realize the power that is actually inside of you, all this shit is over. So to me and in my mind, everything is a distraction. And I know a lot of people say that it's a distraction, but nobody never tells you what it's a distraction from. See, in my mind, it's just a distraction from yourself. Because if you are all that there is, you the creator of your reality, you just being distracted from realizing what you truly and actually are. So let's get into the movie. Let's talk about the movie. So when you look at the movie, right, you realize that the clones were monotonous, meaning they were repetitive because they were playing a role. See, Fontaine, he would wake up, he would do the same thing all the time. He woke up, lifted weights, went to play, went to the store. He asked his mama, you want to eat, mama? Went to the store, played the scratch-offs, talked to the old head, went to go collect his bread. Like, that's why when people say, when you're dealing with certain negative people in the community, in the neighborhood, in the area, right, they'll say, if you get rid of them, another one will just pop up in their place, right? That's the same thing as cloning. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, think about it like this. It's not about them having the same face. They don't have to be. It's about having the same mind. That's why he was saying assimilation. See, that's where they tricking you, because you gotta remember this shit is about mind control. Some of this shit is predictive programming. All of it, you have to be able to practice discernment. You can't just believe everything that comes across you, because it absolves you of responsibility. You gotta be accountable. See, people on this path, right? Don't nobody get no blame or no praise outside of you. When you really, 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 really own this knowledge of self, knowing you God, knowing who and what you are, like I'm saying I'm not saying just get spiritual. You just want to leave. No, when you really, really, really own this path, don't nobody else get no blame, and don't nobody else get no praise. That shit all falls on you. The accountability and the responsibility is up here, because you know who and what you truly are. And when you know better, you do better. So it's not about being better than the other people. It's about knowing what's best for you and what's best for yourself. It's a difference. You understand what I'm saying? It's really more about the mind control. So, I mean, I know we heard this. Oh, we get rid of him, they just gonna put another one in their place. It's the literal exact same thing. It ain't gotta be the same face, y'all. It ain't about cloning the fucking physical. It's about cloning so we can have the same type of damn mind. So everybody can just be under mind control, can be hypnotized, can be told what to do. That's what the shit was all about on a deeper level. Think about it. The old head, right? The OG. He told him, he said, it's in the water, young blood. The man, his name was Fraud. See, you gotta look at, like, ask yourself, what's a fraud? You know what I'm saying? How it what, like, all of the ads, all the commercials, everything had an underlying meaning to it. Just like in the movie They Live, it's the same type of thing. Just like in the movie Undercover Brother, just like in Black Dynamite, you know what I'm saying? All of these movies be alluding you to the same type of thing. These underhanded, underground experimentations that go on black people. Why? Because this shit has been happening for decades. Really, this shit been happening for centuries, because they've been doing it to us for centuries. They've been experimenting on us in different forms, shapes, or fashion. So now when you look at all of them, right? So when you look at everybody, you got Fontaine, right? So Fontaine is he's the drug dealer, right? So he uses his masculine energy or his strength to manipulate the people of the environment around him. You see what I'm saying? That's why he had to beef with the dude Isaac. He could not beef with the dude. Even when he saw him when they was in the middle of what they was doing, he still had to beef with him. Why? It's your programming. People can't explain why they do some of the shit they do because it's the fucking programming. Because a lot of us are dealing with clones. We don't know we dealing with no clones. But this is going to tell you how you dealing with clones. It's going to tell you how you know. So that's Fontaine. Now, when you look at Slick Charles is a pimp. So he uses his feminine energy to manipulate the people around him. That's the difference between Fontaine and Slick Charles. And then you got Yo-Yo, which she called her, she said, yo, you just a regular old hoe, right? But in reality, she represents the intuition. She was highly intuitive. She was like the Kundalini. She wanted to rise. She wanted to be free. She wanted to go. She wanted to get out. She was already attracted to the mystery. She had every damn Nancy Drew book that there was. And that's what she drew from. She drew from that book. She drew from that series. She drew from what she learned based on that and applied it to herself and her situation. That's how you supposed to study. That's how you study. And this is how y'all do, regardless of where the information is coming from. You got to know how to read between the lines and how to apply the shit to yourself. So when a lot of people be like, oh, well, I don't really deal with it, this outside, you cutting yourself off from what could presumably be information that could help you get to exactly where it is that you want to be. Right? Now, what happened in the movie was, if you haven't seen the movie, I hope you've seen the movie if you watching this, because we're going to talk about what actually went on in the movie, right? We're going to actually talk about the movie. So Fontaine goes to collect his money from Slick Charles, right? And that's when he got shot. He got shot by Isaac, which was the rival drug dealer, right? Only to wake up the next day like nothing happened. But he woke up like he had some type of recollection of something happening because he grabbed himself like he had been shot, right? Right? So that's how he woke up. And then he begins his whole monotonous program all over again. He starts his day all over again the same way. You know what I'm saying? Without any recollection of what has happened. You know what I'm saying? He get up, he eat, he cook his food, make sandwiches, he go lift the weights, he go to the store, same thing. Then he come home, he remember, oh shit, I ain't get my money from Slick Charles. So he literally goes over there, like he goes over there again. But Slick Charles, which is Jamie Foxx's character, right? He's like, bro, what the fuck? You was dead. I saw them shoot you. Bro. Like, they shot you like 6, 7 times. Ain't no way you supposed to be walking around right now. Right? So everything with this movie is so obviously plainly laid out for you that you have to ask yourself, what is this shit really trying to tell me? You feel what I'm saying? Because like I said before, what they gonna directly tell you, they've already moved the fuck on to something else. You feel what I'm saying? That it's already, when you're being put in on it, you on CP time. By the time you get a whiff of it, that shit is decades old information. You gotta play catch up. That's the whole point. You gotta play catch up because it's all has to be revealed anyway. This is the age of the Aquarius. The veil is coming down. It's a lot easier to see through the bullshit. It's a lot easier. So they got to get way more creative in how they keep the illusion in front of your face. And all honesty and truly, it has to do with the people. Because the people don't really want to wake up. You understand what I'm saying? The people don't really want to wake up. Now, when watching the movie, you realize there's a lot of, messages, symbols, little small things if you can catch it. It was kind of telling you. One of them was in the character, the old head, Frog. Remember he told him, he said, straighter is greater. That was the logo for the perm, for the relaxer. Everything that he was saying was the taglines to the products, to the stops. So he was able to recognize and be able to observe everything that was going on. When Fontaine saw them grab what looked like himself, right, and take him into that truck, and he said, off to see the wizard again. Off to see the wizard again. Because they playing with the illusion. Because they were clones out there. because the old head, the OG, he knew just from sitting out there, just sitting in place, he was able to receive all the spiritual messages. And he was giving the spiritual messages. That's why it sounded so much like parables. That's why they sounded so vague the way that they sound, because they was just spiritual messages. You know how you get numbers, you start seeing 1 2 3 4 1 1 1. You're like, what the fuck does that mean? Just tell me what it means. It's the same thing. Straighter is greater, young blood. Why not just say they putting that shit in that perm? They can't say it like that, because that ain't how spirit talk. So the old head represents spirit. He represents the spiritual messenger, right? So, um, Slick Charles trying to convince Fontaine, you know what I'm saying? Bro, you got shot. We need to go find Yo-Yo so she can verify my story, so she can tell you what's what. You know what I'm saying? And so when they, find Yo-Yo, she verified the story, tell them where she saw the truck from. They go into this house, looks like a trap house, completely empty. Elevator to go downstairs to some secret basement, to some lab where Fontaine finds his clone. So when he finds his clone, right, that's when everything gets serious. Because what would you do if you found out you was a clone? You feel what I'm saying? So Fontaine, he experiencing a whole lot of emotions and shit right now. He trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. So they trying to get him to sit around and chill. He kind of do for the night, but he go back that next day with his crew and ain't nothing there. It look like a regular house. You don't see no elevator, no nothing. So, of course, that's the whole bit of the conspiracy, because this is not supposed to be known by the people in the neighborhood. You're not supposed to know, hey, what's going on with all of these things and whatever the case may be. So Fontaine get back with Yo-Yo and Slick Charles, right? And then this when you see when they driving in the car on the radio, the record starts to make them sleep. He like, Fontaine, can you change this music? Every time I hear this song, man, I get sleepy. Everybody start yawning in the car. That's the radio programming. That's putting that in your face, letting you know, hey, we controlling you niggas through this music. Based on what you listening to, based on the vibration of the frequency of the music, is hypnotizing minds, because it will make you do what they want you to do. So if it's to make you go to sleep, it's to make you fucking go to sleep, right? So, and we, like I said, we know this. People been telling y'all this for decades. You know what I'm saying? We've been saying hip hop, more specifically, gangster rap, was a CIA program. It's a CIA initiative to put more niggas in jail, just so y'all can have the mentality of that. And then if you look at the music itself, hip hop music itself is a gateway, or is the music to criminality. That's what it has become. I'm not saying that's what it was created out of, but that's what it has been marketed to become. That's what the infiltration has made it, because we don't control our own creation. So it is the background music, or it is the music to criminality. So to be affiliated with that culture automatically puts you in the realm of criminality, because that's the way it's designed. See, there's a reason you got gangster rap pushed. There's a reason all that shit was pushed onto the radio airways, because of the mindset, because it's all about mind control. This shit is about controlling your mind. People can say what they want to say. They've been doing this shit for decades. Evidence of this. It's too much evidence of this at this particular point, right? Let's take a look at some so we can know. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at some of these stories right here. Let's look real quick to see evidence of CIA funded type of things. Let's take a look and let's see what we find, right? Let's see what we find. Let me make this a little smaller so we can see the whole screen, right? Okay, let's see what we gonna find. CIA funded research exploited Black Americans in search of mind control drug. Okay, this is as recent as June 15, 2021, man. Look at this. Less well known is the CIA project called MK Ultra that exploited people of color and other vulnerable groups to test the human limits of drugs like LSD for its use as a mind control agent. Y'all see that, right? You might not can't see it because let me just show you that right there. It's that right there. That's one instance of it, right? Now, when they were in that lab, they found that powder or this chemical. They thought it was drugs. It was drugs, but it wasn't a drug of their choice that they thought. It wasn't like it was no drug, no recreational drug that they used. It was drugs, powder that they was putting into the food to manipulate the mind, right? And it's funny, yo. Sleep Charles said that he said, man, he said, curiosity killed the cat, and we some cats right now. We some cool cats, but we still some cats. And that shit was so funny to me because it spoke to me spiritually because black people in America, as much as the experimentations we've been on, the mind control we've been under far longer than anybody else, and we don't really know that. And see, when he's saying we some cats, because we are the cat people, the indigenous people of America, a lot of them people has a relation to the cat people. And I'm not talking about today's version of Native American. I'm talking about the ancient indigenous Indian people. There's a different correlations between the two. Why you think Native American people don't want you to call them Indian, right? Why you think Native American people don't really know nothing about the mounds and the pyramids and all of everything that was here? Why don't they know that if they was here? If they was here, why don't you know what that is? Another conversation for another time. But it has a lot to do with mind control. But that was a funny line to me when he said, like, curiosity killed the cat, and right now we some cats because yo, we are the cat people. When they get to talking about this, that's the mind control. So that's just like with the whole Wakanda thing. And we like, yo, that comes out of Africa. No, it don't. It doesn't. It's actually related to a Native American, or not even Native American. It's related to an indigenous tribe. But we don't know that because we under mind control, because we believe whatever they tell us to believe, especially when it comes to history, especially when it comes to our identity. And people will look at us like we crazy when we question it, when it's like, well, damn, y'all do know these the people that oppressed us and stole from us and killed us and raped us and pillaged us. Why the fuck would they tell us the truth? Why should we just believe what they say just because we learned it in school? You do realize that we fought to be in a school, and there's a reason why things started to change in our identity spectrum when we started going to their schools. It just these things require you to put your own look, you gotta use your own damn brain, and you gotta learn how to think for yourself, and you cannot believe everything that this matrix is telling you. It's like it's like what Trinity told Neo in the very first Matrix when he was like, I used to do so much shit out here. Now all this shit ain't real. What does any of that mean? She said it just simply means the Matrix can't tell you who you are. So the Matrix cannot tell you who you are because the Matrix is only going to tell you the role or the position that they want you to play. That so breaking out of the Matrix, right, is just simply waking up to who and what you really truly are. So now they were sitting around, right, hungry. The chicken commercial come on. So the chicken commercial come on. They like, damn, let's go get some chicken. Now, what this reminds you of, right? The way them people was acting over that chicken. It don't remind you of the whole Popeyes and that whole chicken sandwich scenario. If you look, yo, they had orange shirts on just like Popeyes, bro. Like, look, they got the hats and they got the shirts just like Popeyes, bro. Like, it looked just like Popeyes. So this shit is mockery, man, but it is, but it ain't. You feel me? Like it is, but it ain't. Cause you just have to know what it is. You know what I'm saying? But when they was eating, everything became a joke when they started eating that food. When they started eating that chicken, right? And this really reminds me of the undercover brother whole thing. It's also reminding me of the whole Black Dynamite, the one they did with Michael J. White, where they was putting the stuff inside of the 40 ounces because they know niggas love 40 ounces, just like they know niggas love chicken. So they're going to put these things inside of the food that's going to kill you. It was mounds of side effects of it, but the whole purpose of putting that stuff in the food was for the mind control. Yeah, it was side effects, and that shit was fucking up their bodies, giving them sporadic, muscle spasms and whatnot. But for the purposes of making them distracted, it was doing what the fuck it was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? That Sleep Charles was sitting there. He like, bro, I've been knowing this motherfucker for years, and I ain't never seen him laugh. All these years I know him, I ain't never seen him laugh. And he He started looking around and he started realizing that everybody in here is laughing. And I don't mean they just smiling happy, but they like laughing, like falling off their seat laughing. And he remembered that he was in that lab, and when he tasted that little powder stuff, it made him twitch, and he was like laughing and randomly and everything when he shot that little tech dude down there. He's like, it's in the fucking chicken. It's in the fucking chicken. And then we noticed who is distributing the chicken. The nigga with the afro. The white dude with the afro. The white dude with the afro was at every location distributing all of the bullshit. Because he was trying to assimilate into the damn culture. This motherfucker was trying to make his way in and be like, I'm just one of y'all. I'm just cool. The whole time poisoning your motherfucking ass. That's how it go. That's the whole reality of the thing. That's what infiltration looked like. That's what happened to every black movement ever on the whole planet. Them niggas got infiltrated every single time. And they started to get you to start to think different. They want you to start thinking a certain way. Why? Because that shit is all about controlling your mind. See, this is why I said long ago, I don't do groups. I ain't doing groups. There's just another way to control your damn mind. It's another way to control your thinking. Because the minute you identify with something, you're expected to respond a certain way to a certain thing. The minute you don't, oh, well, you ain't this then. No, I'm not just that. I'm a lot of different things. So I can't, I'm not going to label myself nothing. I'm not no Muslim. I'm not no Pan-Africanist. I'm not labeled nothing. Don't label me nothing. You're not finna put me in that box because I'm not going to always just be this and just respond to everything just this particular way. Because this is how you grouped. So when certain things are expected to affect very specific groups of people. When certain things happen, specific groups of people are expected to respond a specific type of way. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I don't do the groups. It's another means of mind control. It's another means of mind manipulation. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of everything is for you to think for yourself. It's just for you to think for yourself. It don't even matter what you think. It don't matter if you want to believe in Jesus, Heru, Allah. It really don't matter. It's really about the mindset that shit creates. That's really it. It's really about you staying exoteric. As long as you keep looking out what's doing stuff to you, who is after you, who's opposing you, what is opposing you, what is going to save you, as long as you focusing on all them things, you missing what the shit is all about, because all that shit is illusion. Everything on the outside is an illusion. That's why people can't understand me when they be like, well, we got to do this and this and this for our people. No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we do not. We don't have to do nothing for nobody. No, we don't. And for me, that's just showing me where people study and where they don't study. That's just what that says to me. You feel me? That's just what they say to me. Yo-Yo goes in the back to get more information out of the little manager dude, right? So she finds the notes where he's recording that he's basically, putting out notes on how this is affecting the people. It basically was saying after 44 seconds of consumption, the people were directly affected by that substance. It was talking about the side effects and all of those type of things, because that's what these chemicals do to your body. There's a side effect. That's what happens. See, fluoride in your water, right? Fluoride in your water affects your pineal gland and keeps your shit calcified. But there's a side effect to that entering your body all the time. They talking about it help your teeth. The shit really decay your teeth. It's really worse for your teeth. There's always going to be side effects to these things. This is why people saying you need to eat healthy. But you got to understand they infiltrated that plant-based market. You got to understand they infiltrated that vegan market. So because everything is out to get your mind. Everything. They can have vegan products now or plant-based products now that has more chemicals in them than the real food do. What are those chemicals doing to our minds? What are the effects of those chemicals? Because you're not going to know. There's a reason that the FDA, right, the people who approve the food that's sold in America are the same people that approve the drugs. Because food is a drug. Food is a drug in itself. So a lot of things foreign entering into your body is doing so by means of the food. It's by the food. It's by the medications. It's by these so-called health products like lotions, deodorants, hair spray, hair perms, relaxers, in the food that the stuff you're drinking. They was drinking the grape drink at the church. Listen, it's in everything. It's in everything. Here, they'll tell you now. Bill Gates got it in the food, in the ground. It's in the ground. Cause see, right now you have a government. Understand, you have a government that pays a lot of farmers not to farm. You have a government that influence a lot of farmers to use these GMO products or use these GMO seeds, and they land can't grow no crops no more. You see what I'm saying? But you have to be willing to question the authority. You got to be willing to think for yourself. And honestly, it's scary. I understand why a lot of people can't do it, why a lot of people don't do it. But you can't force nobody to do it. Remember, Dick Gregory told you, you can't force nobody to put the glasses on because the universe picked you for to put them damn glasses on. You can't make nobody else wear them glasses, bro. It don't work that way. It does not work that way. People are where they supposed to be. It just requires more study of you to realize this. You feel what I'm saying? Now, let's keep it going, right? So, they watching the whole neighborhood. They got cameras everywhere, right? All over the whole place, everywhere. The strip club. And she was like, they conducting experiments on us. And then they proceeded to name off a lot of these other different conspiracies, right? All of the other things, just to give you an overdose of the entertainment. And then they went on to say that those operations were in other major cities, LA, Chicago. That's what the Glen itself represented, because we know that's not a real place. And when they got ready to say it on the TV, it bleeped out, or you couldn't really hear what the city was, because it's a representation of every black neighborhood in America. Because they know the truth of who and what the black people in America, who and what we truly are. They know, we just don't know. That's the thing. We just don't know. Not as a collective, we don't know. Some of us know, but as a collective, as a whole, we don't know. And something was very important what he said in there. What he said when they was in that car, he said, we ain't no detectives. You's a hoe, I'm an entrepreneur, and he's a drug dealer. What that means is, ain't nobody coming to fucking save you. Ain't no savior, ain't no hero out there that's gonna save your ass. It's gonna be your regular ass that's gonna have to raise yourself up to save yourself. Don't matter if you's a hoe, an entrepreneur, or a damn drug dealer. Ain't nobody coming to save you. Not nobody. It's gonna be regular, everyday people. Because the only person you can save is you. And a lot of times, it's the people we want to avoid contact with. A lot of times, it's the people who we want to minimize, who really, truly may be more powerful than we can really realize. Because, see, it's a difference between being a powerful person and being in a position of power, or being in a powerful position. There's a difference in it. You feel what I'm saying? And a lot of us are dealing with these people being in positions of power, powerful position. That's what white supremacy is. You can't control the corporations behind who hiring you for a job. That's beyond your control. Now, you might be a powerful motherfucker, but they are in a position of power considering the circumstances and the environment that we are in. So you're going to feel like you disadvantaged. But in reality, they got to stack the odds or stack the deck against you because of what you are. So you got to know because of what you are. And the whole thing with the memories, the memory of his brother was just a pain factor. It was just a pain factor that he had to put in to ensure that energy blockage. See, these painful memories that we don't want to face, that we don't know how to face, these traumatic events, keep us stuck where we at. It keep the energy stuck right where it's at. You can't rise because the energy stuck. Because it's something that you can't deal with yet to allow yourself to become greater than that situation. That's what I saw in implanting the memories in the clone. So you think about a lot of people who play these roles of positions, they have these anchor memories, these anchor points that make them primarily who or what they are. It's the whole basis of their whole thinking pattern. This one thing that happened to them when they was 10, 11, 12 years old done stuck with them forever. And that's all they can think of in their memory, and they relive out that one memory constantly over and over again, not realizing they just reenacting that same memory. So those same feelings keep coming, and you keep pushing them down. The more you push them down, you're dimming your light every time you push it down. Every time you don't want to deal with some shit that you feel, you try to escape it, you're dimming your light. You pushing your true self down every time. So what we don't realize, like I say, a lot of people clones, they don't know they clones. And we're going to let me get further into it, and we're going to explain what I'm saying. Right? So they went to they were following the people that was dropping off the products, right? And they went to the hair salon. That's how they saw that it was in the perms. Probably not even just the perms, probably in all them hair products. Talking about straighter is greater. They want your ass to be thinking that straighter is greater. That's why they want you to relax your hair so your ass can relax. Because that shit is threatening to them, man. Like, when she started, remember the lady in the hair salon when she was doing her hair? She was questioning things in her life. She was just like, this shit just don't make no sense. It just ain't right. And the minute she started putting that perm in her hair, she started to chill her ass out. And she started to just be like, maybe I'm tripping. And she just left it alone. That's what the mind control is, to keep you at a live vibratory rate, to keep you low, yo, to keep you unable to think, unable to break out. It is a mental prison. When they say slavery was a choice, they're talking about the mental component of it, man. Like, and it's not to minimize what our ancestors went through physically, but if you continue to overlook that mental aspect, you will continue to be a slave to the system, because you don't understand, and you're not willing to be open enough to understand, because you're too attached to the identity of the hurt and pain. Because deep down, niggas feel worthless, and niggas have a lot of self-hate. They just have self-hate, so we identify with that hurt shit. We don't want to evolve past that hurt shit, and that shit keeps us stuck. That's part of the program, and that's part of the mind control. That's the reason why they started showing our parents and them roots every fucking year. That's why they started showing them roots every fucking year, yo. Like, that became the narrative for everybody's story. Listen, do your due diligence, and do not believe what these people telling you to be the end all, be all, absolute truth on your identity. Please don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. So when they had their next stop, right, then we see they stopped at the church. So they went to the church, right, because of that grape drink, the wine, or what they use in the bread and wine ritual, or the communion. Because that shit is a ritual, y'all. Understand? That's just a ritual that you agree to. It's still a ritual. It's still a ritual. It's still a ritual, man. And so they had to go to the old head to figure it out, because they lost the van. And he told them, what did the old head say to him? He said, Young Blood and Foxy Brown. See, he always called him Young Blood because he understood he was a test tube baby. He understood he was probably days old, and he was a clone. See, he already knew. That's why he always called him Young Blood. And what did he call Yo-Yo? He called her Foxy Brown. Now, who is Foxy Brown? And who do we know Foxy Brown to be as? That was the first black woman that we seen to be, somebody to take on the man, so to speak, right? So he called her Foxy Brown. So the old head really can just see. He can just see for what it is. So they thought she was pointless. At least that's what the actor dude said when he called her pointless. He just didn't understand just how powerful she really, really was. And that's really the truth of the matter. They really just don't get how strong and how powerful that feminine energy is. But maybe they do. Maybe they do, which is why maybe they do what they do. But anyway, what he said was, he said, in the land of the blind, He said it's on your head, in your head, by your head, on your head, around your head, and under your head. What was he talking about? He's talking about the crown. He was talking about the crown. That's why he knew it was in reference in the church to clog up your crown chakra. That's what the church do in the land of the blind. We talking about church. We talking about religion. People are blind due to religion. He said you gotta go to the last stop on the train, young blood. It's the crown. This is the last stop. The church is where, he said, where does everybody go to get an answer? When you need an answer, where does everybody go? You want to go to God. You go to the church. The big man will always point the way, is what he said. When you're trying to get out of Babylon, where do you go? If this Babylon, where do you go? You go to Zion. So it was Mount Zion Baptist Church. Just like in the Matrix, right? The land or the place where all of the awoken people or the real people, they live where? In Zion. Because Zion mean the promised land. That's what Zion mean. So when they get to the, man, them folks was under a spell in that church. People in the church are under spells. They are under a spell. They were being hypnotized to obedience. He was literally hypnotizing them. There was ceremonial magic. You know when you go to a church, you know how you feel that spirit and everything moving in, you know, you go by the program and all that. That is a ceremonial, magical ritual. That's what it is. And I'm not saying that to make that a negative. It just is what it is. Because we need to see things in the truth of what they are. Because people will look at things outside of Christianity and want to make it, you know, say it's always a ritual and make it negative and make it bad. But you do understand you participate in these rituals as well. You do understand that spiritual practices entail ritualistic practices, regardless of if you call yourself a Christian, a Muslim, a pagan, or it don't matter what you call yourself, there's still ritualistic practices. Meaning, it's just your spiritual practices that you repeat day in and day out that solidify your connection with the source. That's it. That's all it is. Right? So they get on the elevator through the church, get back into the underground layer, right, or the lab, which is symbolic to hidden agendas. That's why it's an underground lab. That's why it's because it's hidden agenda. What's buried underneath? What is the hidden motive? What's the hidden objective? Right. So that's why everything was underground, because it's hidden beneath the tree. It's hidden beneath the surface. So they saw the whole operation, the food being shipped out all over the place to different places. You had cereals, all these different types of food now that was filled with these chemicals to bring on mind control, to allow the people to be able to be hypnotized and controlled. They saw the oversight department, right, which was the monitoring of the phone calls, the surveillance and everything that was going on, showing you these motherfuckers are just overseers. Because that's what oversight department is. It's where the fucking overseers are. The people to oversee all of the criminal activity and regular activity. They was just taking notes on basic regular phone calls. Right? They was monitoring everything. You see what I'm saying? This just basically furthermore showing you what the police is and where the police comes from. Police comes from overseers, if you ain't know. If you ain't know, that's where they come from. Right? So, and you see they passed a big epigenetics billboard. It was a billboard where there was something about genes. It was basically talking about epigenetics. I've done a breakdown already talking about epigenetics and how everything in your environment, how all these things can influence your genes without even going in your body. Just literally through your environment. You could be being impacted by a decision your grandmother made two decades. Your great grandmama could have made. You still could be dealing with the effects of that decision. That's the powerful knowledge behind epigenetics and what that entails. So they passed that billboard on the way to the research and development department, right? And that's where people being experimented on. That's where they're seeing how they take, it was a lady in there, she was being programmed for the standards of beauty. So, you know, the way we see beauty, the way that we feel like we have to have these particular things to be considered beautiful, that shit is mind control. That shit is programming. That shit is programming. Okay, the music, right? Testing the music, how it was making them aggressive and wanting to fight, and then how they could have music to make them emotional and affectionate. Why? Because the shit is in the music. The shit is in the music. We know this. Them exploring that facility was like the rising consciousness. It's like the journey along your waking up. So it's like everything that you learn in the process of waking up to what you truly are as a black person in America. So when you realize all the truths of the past and everything that's been going on and continues to go on, that's what this whole thing symbolically represents. It's like them waking up. So you gonna be angry. You angry when you first wake up. Think about it. When you first started learning about the Jim Crows and how prison is the new Jim Crow and all this, think about how upset you became. Think about how mad this stuff makes you, right? That's what happens along the way when you first get in it and you first get shaken into what's really going on out here, man. That's what that symbolically represent. So they went from not knowing to knowing what's being done to us deliberately and underhandedly, and how diabolical that shit is. So that's what a lot of us realize on this journey. But a lot of people will just stop there too. Just stop at the angry place where you could just be mad at these people for doing all these things for you. But you can't stop there. That's the thing. You can't stop there. You can't stop there. So, we've come to the realization. We learned about, like I say, the new Jim Crow in prison. We learned about the lynchings, what they did to us, what barbecues really were. You know what I'm saying? The Tuskegee experiment, the MK Ultra, all of these things, man, that we know. You know what I'm saying? So that's the anger that you get because you can't unsee it. So for them to go through and see all of that, that's what's happening in your mind's eye when you become awakened. You seeing it. You seeing it through your mind's eye. So they was going through that facility seeing everything. You can't unsee what you seeing. That's the raising of the consciousness. That's the becoming aware. Yo, you can't unsee what you've seen. There's no way. You know what I'm saying? They were conscious now. This is the moment that they became conscious. Like, oh shit, we can't just let this shit go on. Right? So, the thing about Fontaine, man, he know he a clone. He knows he's a clone. So it's deep for him. So they make it, he don't want to stop. They ready to leave. Nah, man, we got to keep going. He need to know where he come from. Right? So they make it to duplications and they get to the clones. They find the clones. And what they find is Fontaine was A001, meaning he probably was the first clone, right? Now, Slick also discovers he's a clone. And that changes you. That changes you because that means that everything that you thought was real is a lie. See, a lot of people waking up to realize that they clones. A lot of people waking up to realize that they not who they really are. They're just being who they've been taught or mind controlled into being all of their lives because of what they thought or believed to be true. That's why this cloning thing is so deep. You know what I'm saying? Because we programmed to think and see things like they cloning celebrities, right? And like I said before, it's not to say that those are the highest elite status, which we probably do not know their names or who they are, don't have the capability of physically cloning. But I don't think that's what celebrity cloning is about. It's not about that. It's too fucking obvious at this point. Like they mocking you at this point. It's literally a part of the marketing plan. Okay, John Boyle came out in 3 different outfits. They was marketing it as all his clones has arrived. They playing in your face if you believe, oh, they just cloning niggas out here. Listen, it's more to it than that. That's just to allow your imagination to run away from you so you won't see how this shit directly has to do with you. Because I promise you, always got to bring that shit back to yourself. That's how you elevate. That's how you know you want a different type of time. That's how you know you want spirit time. You see what I'm saying? That's how you know. But it ain't really about that. It's about the mind. It's because of the influence. It's the controlling of your consciousness. You can help me keep the masses at a low vibration by influencing them to take in these products and these things that's going to keep them low vibration and basically that's going to keep them asleep. I'm going to pay you to solicit all of this shit. That's what celebrities do. Everyday people do this same old shit too. Because everyday people carry on these same old ideas and ideologies and dogma that you have to accept. And the minute that you don't accept it, you weird, crazy, or all other types of names that they gonna call you. Because it's a means to keep your ass in a state of mind control. So you don't go outside the damn box and start to think for yourself and influence other people to think for themselves. That's the point. That's why they chastise people who come out and speak the truth. That's why they make them look crazy. That's why they alienate them. That's why they take all their money from them, because they don't want you to have no incentive in waking up. They want you to stay asleep, keep playing, keep the program running. I'm going to take care of you as long as you keep the program running. And see, a lot of celebrities are having to wake up to the reality of this shit. They having to wake up to the reality, you playing for the other fucking side. You doing this to your own people. Just like a drug dealer poisoning their own neighborhood, it's the same shit. You poisoning the minds of millions and millions and millions of people. Because they look up to you. That's what they doing. That's what celebrity cloning is about. That shit is mind control, man. That shit is mind control. Because a 12-year-old kid might not agree with some shit they parents say, but if a celebrity that they look up to come and say that same shit, then they gonna follow suit. You understand what I'm saying? It's the influence. It's the controlling of the mind. It's all about controlling your mind, bro. It ain't got to be a clone face. It don't have to be the same face. That's why they can remove and put the same thing right back in its place with a different face. See, they just playing with your imagination by obviously making this shit cloned in your face. But you can't get caught up in all of that, because that shit is still fucking illusion. You gotta focus on what is real. And that's how this shit relates to you. Because nothing in the outer world cannot be done that ain't already been done in the thoughts and the mind. So it's about controlling your mind. It's about controlling your consciousness. Because the only evolution that there is, if there really is evolution of consciousness. That's it. So they're trying to keep your ass from evolving. I gotta keep you low and sleep and not aware of what the fuck is going on. Because remember, they keep things at the status quo. Slick Charles and Fontaine. Okay? You need people like them in those positions to make sure that everything stays the way it's supposed to be. The pimp, the drug dealer, the preacher. The preacher was a part of the clones. They had the clones of the preacher. You need the preacher. The preacher is a pivotal influence in the black community. Because he is pivotal to your damn mind control programming. Because the religion gonna get a lot of the people. The religion gonna get a lot of the people. And you gotta get the people however you gonna get them. That's why you had them coming through the food. That's why it was through the hair, which is like the beauty. Was through the music. You understand? The perms in the hair. The church in the grape juice itself. It was all purposeful. You know what I'm saying? They were supposed to do this. They contribute to the mind control. They play a role. So to realize that you are a part of the problem, that was the issue. You on the wrong side. You on the wrong side. You got to remember, on the plantation, the preacher was a position of authority over the people on the plantation. That was a raise. How you get a raise on the plantation if you are helping your people? Just think about it. Ain't nobody in no position of authority on the plantation to help the slaves. It's to keep you in slavery. It's to keep you enslaved. So when they come up, when they make it out of the underground layer after everything, right? They come up through the strip club. So they come up through the strip club and they knew that they had gotten out, right? So when they left, they contacted the DJ, right? So they had the DJ play music to hypnotize them, right? Yes, they played the music to hypnotize them. And again, it was the white dude with the afro. It was the white dude with the afro. Look, we gotta watch for these people who come into our community and start shit, because that's what them people was representing. They coming in, starting shit. And that's what exactly what was happening. So they told him to intercept and subdue, talking about let the music take control. Yo-Yo was like, don't listen to the music, don't listen to this shit. It's one of their songs. Now, mind you, that in today's time, you can get an AI generated song now. You don't even need an artist to make music no more. You understand what I'm saying? You seen people on TikTok being NPCs for money. They are acting like actual robots. I mean, it's dope to see one person be creative enough to come up with that. But with this monkey see, monkey do ass society, copycat ass clone society, now you got everybody doing this shit. Now everybody want to do it because they want to get a coin. Monkey do ass, monkey see, monkey do ass society, man. But what if that shit is just a social experiment? What if that shit is just a social experiment that's just showing that people will pay money for AI to entertain them, bro? Because that's basically what y'all saying. It's a regular ass person reacting, responding like an AI. I'm trying to figure out how I can make a AI to generate an AI to go live for me, since y'all won't pay money just to watch AIs react to gifts on TikTok. This is crazy to me, man. Like, how? Like, it goes from you see this and then people like, damn, she making $7,000 a day. Now every time I get on there, I see people doing this. I see y'all just acting like a robot for a check. Bro, come on now. We don't have no originality. We don't have no originality, yo. We live in a world of clones. We live in a world of fucking clones. That's why so many people on this planet today, bro. Because everybody is so much easier in this society, in this modern society today, to just distract people from what the fuck they supposed to be doing and who the fuck they really are. But we live in a society of clones, bro. Like, everybody ain't gotta look the same to be a clone. Please understand that's the real message. Yeah, you ain't gotta be looking just like them to be no clone. Nah. That shit is about the mindset. Like, you ever hear some people literally regurgitate everything they've heard somebody else say? Y'all never seen that before? Yo, shit's like a social experiment, man. But they hypnotized the whole strip club and made them chase them, right? That's how you get mob mentalities. Listen, they gave us so much game. That's mob mentality. That's how easy it is to get the public to mob or to turn against you, yeah? That's how easy it is, and that's just because of the programming. They don't even know why they were chasing them. That just was. They don't even know why. That's how society works. That's how these humans work. This is how these people work. They are automatons by nature. By nature, they programmed to be a certain way and they beat it. And that's all they know how to be. They programmed in. They jacked in. It's no different than on the Matrix. The people would turn into the agents. They can't help it. You can't even be mad at them. It's because it's just like they're all jacked in. They're all jacked in, and this is the moment when he meets the original Fontaine, meets the original clone, Chester. And it's funny because he said to him, he said, everybody has a boss. I have a boss. I'm who the boss calls when he wants something taken care of. He said, but you two will really hit it off. And he said it because Fontaine is his boss. That was the irony of that line, because, yo, he is the boss. You are the fucking boss. They mimicking you. Yo, listen to what I'm telling y'all. They mimicking you. They mimicking you and what you are. Bro, listen. So look, all right, let's get back into it. But it also was alluding to the hidden hand being the black hand. We've seen a lot of that coming out too amongst certain circles where there's the discussion of the possibility of the hidden black hand. Even if we want to go as far as to say, we see within the community itself, especially the conscious community, where you see how people acknowledge that and they show animosity towards groups like the Moors, who they dedicate to be as those group of people, right? So they may say there's Moors or whoever, you know what I'm saying? But it's because they catching on, because they are well aware of everything that we got our hands in, everything that we are, reviewing, looking at. They looking at everything. They watching everything. They watching everything. You know what I'm saying? But it's like he told them, you three, y'all control the setting. Without y'all, gentrification would move in. So y'all keep things at this level. You know what I'm saying? I've heard people say sometimes in black neighborhoods, yeah, well, we go outside and we shoot sometimes, just to shoot up in the air, just because you want to keep the property value down. Because the minute them people come in and realize that it ain't as bad as as you think it is, they gonna want in. They gonna want to move the fuck in. You know? But you are always what they don't want, an awakened being. You know what I'm saying? They don't want you to know who and what you are. And it's wild because he told Fontaine, he was like, nigga, you a patriot as far as I'm concerned. You goddamn Captain America. So niggas who sell drugs, niggas that pimp women, niggas that keep people in despair, keep the people in despair, y'all working for the man. Y'all working for the other side because you are maintaining people in a low vibratory rate. So the gold chain, the gold teeth, the 45, that shit was a costume placed on him. It was a costume. And we see who and what he was cloned from. Nigga, you was nothing like that drug dealer. But that's what you was made into. The costume that you was put on and put on you to keep things as they supposed to be. To play your role, play your position. It don't matter that it's a fucked up position. It's the position that's designated for you. But when you disrupt that, when you ain't trying to be no drug dealer, when you ain't trying to be no pimp, when you ain't trying to be no hoe, you disrupt the status quo. That's not allowed because you are going outside of the paradigm of the roles that has been allocated for you to play. So when you wake up and say, that shit ain't me, I ain't that, you're a problem to the system and to the status quo. You are a problem. You are a problem that has to be dealt with accordingly. That's the way that shit goes. That's the way it goes. And he had control over Fontaine and Slick Charles. But he ain't have no control over Yo-Yo, though. He ain't have no control over her. And what he told her, he said, you a dime a dozen. He said, you ain't nothing but a hoe, you come a dime a dozen. Now, see, beyond her being a hoe, because she was the one who really did most of everything amongst the three of them. They didn't have original thoughts. It was really only her. You feel what I'm saying? Now, just imagine, he says that she came a dime a dozen. Could you imagine if we had a dime a dozen yo-yos for real, for real? Like, listen, I ain't talking about the whole aspect. I mean, but just think about it too, though. You know what I'm saying? Because hoe, the way that they do hoe, you gotta understand the divine hoe, right? You gotta understand that original energy and how powerful that fucking energy is and how much they want to really overlook it. Okay? But just imagine, because she did most of the work, she had most of the thoughts, she did most of the damn problem solving. So damn, if that's the case and we had a dime a dozen black women like that, I don't know, man. We got hella potential if you ask me. If you ask me, we got hella potential because she was the main energy that brought everything down. Because when they took her, it made them go after her. Before they took her, they didn't even have the heart to even continue to do that shit. They had done gave up. They like, damn, we some clones. Both of them, Slick Charles and Fontaine. But she ain't never give up. She didn't never give up. And she kept on going. And the mere fact and everything with her pushed everything over the top. So shit, if you ask me, man, we need a dime a dozen of Yo-Yo. But remember, she was the hoe that was trying to ascend. She wasn't just trying to stay where she was at. She kept saying the whole movie she was telling us she was retiring. The only thing that kept her in the state that kept doing it was the survival. She had to keep surviving. So she was at odds. So she was stuck in the hell. Just like your Kundalini is stuck in the root. She couldn't rise because, I mean, hell, how could she? How could she get to where she was going? She was trying to leave, go to another place, trying to go to Memphis. Why was she trying to go to Memphis? What's in Memphis? What's another place on this Memphis? Memphis, Egypt? What's in Memphis? The pyramids? Hey, y'all got to peep game, man. It's all just symbolic references. It's all symbolic references, man. It's all symbolic references. But you think about it, you know what I'm saying? Think about it. The men, like I said, they gave up. But she wanted to rise. She wanted to rise. You know what I'm saying? But when you are wondering, when you out here wondering why you here or what you came from, when you don't know that, you might as well be a clone, bro. Listen, you might as well be a clone because all you know is what you programmed to know. What you've been told is facts. You feel what I'm saying? You don't know what's in your heart. You don't know your soul. You don't know the wisdom of your soul. Fontaine said, I'm a dope boy, remember? I'ma be what I am. I was made in a tube. I didn't have no say in this. If you don't know that you chose to be here, you might as well be a clone. Maybe you are a clone. Maybe you being exactly who they want you to be. Because he went right back to that same routine. And then it hit him like, what about my mama? You know what I'm saying? He decided to confront his mama because he didn't know at this point. And then when he and you think about it, I was watching, I was like, damn, why his mama ain't never came out of this room? And of course it's because there's nobody in the room. It's just a recording because as long as he does everything accordingly like he normally would do, as long as he follows his normal routine, his normal programming, he not going in that room anyway. You not gonna discover that your mama not in there, bro. Because you not going outside of the program. You gotta go outside of the program. So now at this point, now that they giving up, Yo-Yo done went to them like, damn, we can't just give up like this. But it's looking like they did. So she tried to do it herself. She went on to try to mail the evidence to the New York Post or somebody trying to expose what was happening. And of course they grabbed her. Right? And it's because, you know, that energy can't work alone by itself. And when we see Fontaine and Slick Charles after that, right? You know, Slick Charles, he started to reminisce. And he started to wonder if any of that shit that he had in his memory was even real. You know what I'm saying? He said the players ball, he always talked about the players ball from 81. It was a very pivotal memory for him. And he said he could always remember it like it was yesterday. And that's because it was anchored in his identity of who and what he was. You know what I'm saying? Just like Fontaine realizing, I ain't never had no little brother that was killed, but he never had a little brother. Not him. He never really truly experienced it, but he still loved them though. So he still had the emotion attached to that memory. Just like Slick Charles still had the emotion attached to that memory that made him want to be a pimp. You feel what I'm saying? So, all of it was made up to fit the mind control. So in terms of you being a black American, because you've been under mind control for so goddamn long, they've been telling you so many things to fit your story. Most of this shit is not true. But it is true in order for you to fit the narrative of the paradigm of the character that you've been selected to play. So as long as you accept their truth and all the shit that they've been telling you they programming, that shit is gonna be true for you because that's the reality that you in. You in a reality. But in all actuality, a lot of that shit is not true. It's to emotionally manipulate you into playing a role that's specifically selected for you. That's why I said, yo, this movie is deep on a lot of levels. This shit ain't just about no cloning no celebrities. Like, if that's all we can see, we not seeing shit. If that's all we can see, we not seeing shit. You feel me? But, you know, you got to ask yourself how much of your identity is a lie? How much of your identity is a lie? See, that's why Morpheus said when people get a certain age, we can't tell them the truth. They'll die. You know what I'm saying? Their mind, they lose their mind because that's the foundational fabric of everything that they know to be true. So if everything that you know to be true that is setting your identity, if that shit was to crumble, you might lose your fucking mind. That's why your mind can't. That's why some people's mind can't accept these truths, and that's why they had to stay asleep. You gotta let them people be exactly where they at and continue on your journey. And continue on your journey. When it's time for them to wake up to it, they will. And some of them will not do it in this lifetime. So you have to know that for your own sanity. You have to know that for your own sanity. Because these false truths about your identity is what's keeping you stuck in the trap. It's keeping you stuck in the trap of what you think you are or what you think you have to be versus who and what you actually really are. And so, you know, they knew Yo-Yo was right. You know what I'm saying? She right. We got to go get her. And, of course, they going to start experimenting on her. Because why? She's awakened. She's aware. She know what the hell going on out here. So, of course, they're going to experiment on her. Of course they are. You know? And, you know, I said I was going to speak on the Jamie thing. And I'm going to circle around to something I said earlier. You know, like, because sometimes people are in positions of influence. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people in the positions of influence were out there because they were empty shells, right? Because they were able to be influenced that way. Because they was able to be controlled and manipulated that way. That's what Spirit telling me about Jamie Foxx. Jamie dealt with some real spiritual confrontational shit in his own soul. That's what Spirit's telling me. Jamie had to face something for his own soul's sake. I'm not saying he wasn't affected by that jab, or that's not what caused him to be in that physical state, but it only happened because he had to go to the spirit realm. He had to go and deal with some things, and he had to fight his way back. That's what I'm getting. That's what Spirit telling me about the whole Jamie Foxx thing. That's what it's telling me, because Slick Charles said in the movie, after they got Yo-Yo, right? He said, we gonna do what Yo-Yo would do. We gonna put our heads together. Listen to this, y'all. He said, we gonna put our heads together. That saying, we gonna put the right and the left brain together. We're going to put the masculine and the feminine together. We're going to put the higher and the lower together. We're going to integrate and we're going to bring this shit together. That's what he said, right? So that's symbolic representation of right and left brain activation. Union of the two lobes, masculine and feminine. And in this plan, they plotted for Fontaine to get killed or to fake his death so that he can be inside already and help them from the inside. Knowing that they was watching, because they always watching. So when his clone was sent out and he ran into the old head, right? Remember when after they grabbed him and they released his clone? Remember when he went back up there to the store and he sniffed and he said, you got that new car smell, young blood. That was because he knew this was a new clone. He knew that wasn't the same Fontaine from the day before. This is a new Fontaine they don't put out here on the streets. So, you know, the OG was well aware. He was always hip. He always knew what was up. See, we dismiss our old in this society, but see, in our indigenous cultures, the elders were well respected. They had earned their place in our society, in our community. But we don't do that here in this Western world society. We dismiss the old. People want to just put them away in homes and act like they don't exist. When melanated people, we acknowledge and we honor our elders. That's always been our thing. That's always been a part of our cultures. Wherever you want to look, anywhere on the planet, we've acknowledged, honored, adored the elders. So, you know, people can often think that people like that can be crazy, but in reality, they just see through the madness. They just see through the madness. So they knew they would be watching, expecting the same old, same old. So when you be watching these people, you think they monotonous and they just doing whatever they doing. What you're gonna expect them to do, what you expect of them. So they pulled a trick, or they use illusion or magic to pull a trick or to pull a wool over the people's eyes. So they use magic. I'm saying they use magic because they used an illusion. Okay, magic is an illusion of the physical. Understand? Listen to what I'm saying. Follow where I'm going, cause this is all symbolic reference. It's gonna take magic for your ass to fight up out of this shit. It's gonna take you some magic. It's gonna take your magic, whether you wanna call that shit black girl magic, black whatever you wanna call it. It's gonna take your magic to get up out of this shit. Period. That's what it's gonna take. Now here's the thing, what got me, because it was like they put on a show. Listen to the words being used. They put on a show. They had a cast. Everybody had a role they had to play so that we can trick these people into thinking this. Now let's put on a show. Let's put on a show for them. Understand? A show. The world is a stage. All of this shit is a stage. All of it. And Funtime was like, so while I'm doing all this and while I'm up in there, what the hell you gonna be doing? He said, I'm bringing the cavalry. So Jamie just went into the spirit world now. He just went into the spirit world, almost transitioned, but fought his way back to this physical world. And when you come back from a great spiritual journey, there are gifts, rewards, and all things of that nature, because naturally that shit gonna raise your vibration. It's like the hero's journey. You know, it's like coming back from the adventure. Jamie said, I'm bringing the cavalry, right? And then he said, I got the whole hood with me. It's a revolution. Because it's going to take all of us. It's going to take spiritual power. But see, you got to understand, he's bringing back the cavalry. This physical world ain't the only world. It's a spirit world. It's a spirit realm, whether you want to believe that shit or not. There are other dimensions of being. There are other levels of being. So with everything that Jamie went through, spiritually, with him bringing the cavalry, with it's the revolution, I'm bringing the whole hood with me. Jamie went through some serious spiritual transformation, yo. See, the movies are messages from the beyond. It's not just about who's making the movies. This is what I want y'all to understand. It's not just about who's making the movie. It's not just about who wrote the movie. It's about the spiritual symbolic representation that's within the movie itself. Spirit speaks through what is available. It doesn't have to be the point of the director or the producer to provide you with the spiritual message. The message is going to come through on its own. That's why you going to probably look at mad different breakdowns of this, and you going to see different interpretations of the breakdown of the movie. And it's because spirit speaks through frequency, through vibration, through the expression of the art itself, through the symbolic representation of the cast. So everything that takes place in these movies, this is why sometimes these actors and actresses get lost in these roles. Because sometimes the energy that they are taking on is bigger than the movie. Sometimes it's tapped into something outside of just entertainment. Because remember, entertainment anyway is allowing the entering of your mental. You are saying that you want to be entertained. You feel what I'm saying? That's the reason that a theater looks like a dome. It's representation of the mind. Your dome, like wisdom, freedom, freedom. It has to do with your mind. All this shit has to do with your mind. Every last piece of it. So for me, the whole thing with Jamie Foxx, I don't see it as that direct. as oh they cloned Jamie. You know what I'm saying? Then they almost killed him so they could bring. I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way. I see this as yo. This is some Jamie shit. This some shit Jamie had going on that he had to face for himself. Now I don't know what Jamie been involved with or what he has done or participated in out here in society or in the world, or how he has influenced people, the public. You feel what I'm saying? And sometimes we have to atone for that. Because just because you lack knowledge, it's just like with the law. Just because you don't know the law don't mean you don't have to deal with the consequences of it. It ain't nobody's fault that you don't know it but yours. But you still have to deal with the consequences of whatever you did that broke that law. It's the same thing. Just because you don't know don't necessarily mean, I mean, I don't know about y'all, man, but I'm tired of giving these folks power, bro. Like, I'm just so sick and tired of everything always being these folk, because I thought we had an understanding of how spiritual and how powerful we were and who and what we really were. And if we really knew that, we really understood that, why do we dedicate everything that happens to be them people, to be them folk? That's just like, yo, this week, the Pfizer building. There's a Pfizer building in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. If y'all don't know, I'm from Tarboro, Rocky Mount area. Okay, that's where I grew up from. That's where I'm from, right? And there's been a lot of posts. A lot of people was like, this didn't really happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like this was a machine. How nobody get killed and then like this. But I know actual people, bro, that saw this shit, saw this tornado. Witnesses, they almost died. I know people that work there at Pfizer, people I went to school with, people I grew up with, people I known for 20 plus years. You feel me? But a lot of people immediately when it happened, they was like, oh, they trying to cover up evidence. They hit the weather machine. I saw a lot of people saying it. But when I first got this information, when I first saw this story about what happened to Pfizer, my immediate thought was, damn, the ancestors really won't fucking around. You feel me? Like, most people immediately be thinking of government or be thinking some elites. I be thinking it be spirit. I be thinking it be the ancestors, because which one is it? Either we know who and what we are or we don't. You feel me? And I'm tired of this bouncing back and forth. That's why I'm always beefing with the conscious community, because I get sick and tired of us always giving that energy to that shit. Because how much study are we really doing if we gonna continue to do that? Because I thought we understood energy. I thought we understood the way this shit worked. But if every time somebody die, y'all think it's them elitists or y'all think it's these people, what the fuck is spirit doing? When the fuck the spirit ever do anything? Y'all told me that y'all believed in God or Allah or the Most High. But this ain't evident of that. This telling me y'all believe more in the devil and y'all enemies than y'all believe in anything that's really for the betterment of who and what you really truly are. Because every time I turn around, you niggas is always talking about the government and these people is doing this. I am so sick and tired of hearing that shit. I'm tired of hearing that shit. I really am tired of it, bro, because when you gonna designate your power to something that's gonna be beneficial to you? Because like I keep saying, bro, I thought we understood the way this shit worked. But we continue to feed and feed and feed and feed them folk. We continue to feed, bro. If it's you, if you got all the power, why you continue to give your power away? Why you continue to always think it's some outside force that's fucking you up? Look, let me just get back to the movie, because sometimes I get a little, whatever on that. But anyway, so Fontaine is on the inside. He's on the inside now, so he's going to help them from the inside. So he gets in there, open up all the doors. Yo-Yo get away, because she was smart enough to have a wig on. So when they started putting them chemicals on that wig, they thought it was her. They thought it was affecting her, and it wasn't, because she was smart enough to have a wig on, right? So, they storm the place. All hell breaks loose. Fontaine got to face his clone self, Chester. And in the midst of that, he gets taken to the boss. So he gets to meet the boss. Now, most of the time in these black exploitation films, it be somebody that be white. Now on Undercover Brother, they did have the general. He was helping in terms of the chicken and shit too, which is what they did here because they've been kind of trying to elude to us this shit is really deeper than race. Like race was created and established in a way that put us at odds, but we don't really get it and we don't really know it yet. But anyway, granted, we gonna move on. But he finds the boss. The boss is nobody but him. That was the kicker. The boss was just himself. He said, "You working for them?" And he just said, "Call it a marriage of convenience. Call it a marriage of convenience." He was the lead geneticist. So you got this man who was dealing in genetics. And you gotta think about it. I mean, if black people was the original people of the planet, right? They had to be the first ones that had to start playing with genes. They had to be the first one to start playing with genetics. But that's in case. But also, you got a lot of people who want to give that shit to aliens or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, this shit is very similar to your big head Yakub theory, right? And if you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, same storyline, right? Yakub type thing. And he said, the powers that be, the invisible people above me, the invisible people above me who pulled the strings weren't getting the results that they wanted. What invisible people? Did he literally mean invisible? Are they without physical form? What do he mean by invisible people? Could it be higher dimensional beings, maybe? Maybe. I don't know. But he went on to say, we don't just need to think the same. We gotta be the same. And he said he found 378, I think 378 or so unique genes that made us different, us black people, us black Americans specifically, different than everybody else, whether that be the Hispanics, whether that be the Asians, whatever. And the first subjects were the people that they were seeing, the white people with the afros. So all them white people with the afros were the first subjects of assimilation that they were using. They were successful enough to pass, right? And that's like how back in the days you had them white passing people in society. Like they was light enough to pass as white. So this is very similar to the whitening of the bloodlines that has been done, that was been done all the way since right before the transatlantic slave trade and all of that particular type of thing. He said it's about a simulation, and it won't happen overnight. It will be generation after generation. Now, assimilation is better than annihilation. So instead of trying to annihilate you, I just want to assimilate you into their culture. Just take in who and what you are supposed to be and act more like this. We can all just be thinking the same. This is what cloning is. This is what cloning is, right? He said we all have a part to play. I have mine and you got yours, you know? But it's like they said in the movie. Like, yo, they was like, yo, we had to click up to beat them folks. We had to come together. So in the aspects, a lot of people will take that exterior and say, hey, man, we got to come together if we want to beat the system. But understand, all this shit is just coming from within you. Everything outside of you is really an illusion. That's the next level, next step, yo. If you still on the government and all of them is doing all this, there's another step that you get to that goes back to yourself, that circles it back around to you. You got to be ready to come back around to yourself. Because, yeah, we can all come together and we can create some things in this physical and this, illusionary world. But if you bring all the parts of yourself together, you're going to change the world anyway, because it's going to change how you perceive your reality, because you projecting your reality. So if you bring all the parts of yourself together, that shit is going to change your reality. It's going to transform you and your reality. You have to bring it all together. It's like he said, we're going to put our heads together. You got to put your minds together. You have to utilize that. You know what I'm saying? So from there, we saw Fontaine, Slick Charles, and Yo-Yo. They go off together. So you got two clones, the two aspects created in the physical world. That could be like the physical body and the ego self. And Yo-Yo representing the Kundalini or the true self, the light. And you know what? They really keep it a buck. I got to add this in. To really keep it a buck in the grand scheme of it all, you have to understand, you represent every aspect in the movie. You are every character to some way, shape, or form. It's making up the whole of the psyche. And if we look at it that way and if we understand it that way, then you look at it and understand you clone yourself. That's why when he kept searching and searching and searching, because he the main character, he found himself. He had cloned himself. You know what I'm saying? The head person cloned himself. So, and it was a version of himself that rose up to stop him because it was always you. It's always you. You know what I'm saying? When you take your memories and create different stories to see, when you take your memories and attach these stories to these feelings affiliated or anchored in these memories that play themselves over and over in your mind. So you listen to these stories over and over again. You create different versions of yourself. And these different versions of yourself keep you from yourself because this is a part of yourself that you don't want to explore because it is too painful for you, for whatever it is that it may represent for you. But you are not going to access that next level until you are able to face that part of you. That was the whole it in the story. He had to still use a version of himself to kill himself still. He had to use Chester still. So everything plays a part. That's the whole. It's all you. So when you're looking at the viewpoint of understanding that the story is you and every part of the story is you, even the bad guy, every aspect of it, then you've reached a level where you are able to interpret things on more of an esoteric level. You feel what I'm saying? You got to be able to take it and bring it within and understand what it means to your inner world, because that's the true world, is the inner world. The outer world is simply only going to reflect what's on the inside. So it's always going to circle back around to the self until a person is ready to see it. If not, you're going to be on Groundhog's Day repeat. You're just going to be repeating. It's not, you're not going to know. You're not going to necessarily realize that you're doing it all over and over and over again. But technically, that's what it is until you're ready to deal with what all of that means inside of you that you keep running from. So that's a very, spiritual aspect of understanding what it's trying to say to you. So you got to be able to take these things that they give us, these movies, because they're trying to program you still just by showing you that they cloning these people. They still want you to just take that direct path. But if you can understand, man, how all this relates to you, this is how you awaken. Because that's the hijack in terms. Because that's what you jacked into. The role or the character that you've been boxed into on this grand stage, because the world is a stage. So that's what we are supposed to do when we watch these movies, because they have an agenda. They do have a means of what it is that they want you to take from this. They have an intention. But if you can have the spiritual discernment, you can see through it. And in being able to see through it, you can see what is. You can see what is. That's the truth is still in it. But you have to be able to see it beneath the layers. So don't get too caught up in what's on the surface. Don't get too caught up in what's on the surface. You gotta take it. You gotta take it to the self. You always gotta take it to the self. You have to. And before it go off, we actually meet Tyrone. Because the whole time you wonder, well, who is Tyrone? If they clone Tyrone, who is Tyrone? So then in the end scene, we actually meet Tyrone. And I feel like this was deep because they took it out of fantasy. Because the Glen and everything about the Glen was fantasy. It was a made up place. It was a representation of your typical black neighborhood. And they took it out of that and they put it in the real world. and they said, "This is L.A." They said, "This is L.A." So we see Tyrone in L.A. He's a Crip. So he's under the program of the gang leader. So gang members, gang leaders, y'all work especially gang leaders. Y'all working for the other side. Their involvement in the community keeps it where it's at. You ever notice the connection between the hip hop world or the rap community and the gangs? You ever notice how you have people who are artists who've been nothing but artists who will get into entertainment and all of a sudden get involved in gang activity? That's because the gang is honestly, and I say this, I know a lot of people who deal with it, I understand our environments, so it's not a personal attack, but you gotta understand the purpose of the gangs. The purpose of the gang leader. They put the gangs there so you don't have no revolutionary groups. They put the gangs there so that if you do have a revolutionary mind or a mind to go against the system, you just gonna conduct criminal activity and poison your neighborhood and be all about yourself, versus you seeing something really wrong and you want to do something that's good and raising up your neighborhood. You get what I'm saying? So it just is what it is. These things were put in place for a reason. They saw the dangers of, they got more and more dangerous every single time. You saw what happened by the time you get to the Black Panthers. Imagine what the next level of the revolutionary group was going to be. They couldn't allow that to be. That's why you had the introduction of crack. That's why crack came. Look at what happened. Crack came into the neighborhood to make niggas zombies, to make niggas low vibrational, to keep everybody low vibrational. So even the people who weren't on drugs, who might have got on these crack, got on these drugs, they have kids. They got family. What happened to their families? What happened to their kids? Who raised their kids? The streets raised their kids. So now they are product of the streets. They're product of generations and generations and generations of mind control. We all are. It's just different forms of it. And gang culture is just the same thing. Most of them people in gangs, they inherit that. You understand? Their mamas, their daddies, their granddaddies, their great granddaddies, everybody was already in it. Nigga, that path is already paid for you. To literally go outside of that path is that's like going against your nature. That's like going against your programming, because people can only be what they know how to be. See, that LA neighborhood had all the same dynamics of the Glen, because and then they see Fontaine on TV and they like, damn, ain't that you, Tyrone? So now Tyrone might start asking questions. Now Tyrone might realize, damn, this shit might be crazy. Because you got to start asking yourself, yo, how did you get here? How did you get here? How did you get to this place of identity? Because a lot of people are clones and they don't fucking know they are clones. That's the whole point of this clone shit. A lot of you niggas is clones and y'all don't know that y'all are clones. So you gotta know how to wake up and be yourself. You have to be yourself. You have to be who you are. You have to be who you truly, truly are within yourself. Not what your environment has made you into. Not what your circumstances have made you into. Not what all these mind control things are trying to get you to be. See, that's the point of all of this. It's about controlling your mind in terms of controlling your consciousness, to ensure that you do not evolve your consciousness, so that you never wake up to who and what you truly, truly are. So that concludes this whole They Clone Tyrone breakdown. Overall, I thought it was a phenomenal movie. I'm glad Jamie is back with us. Jamie is one of my favorite comedians, and it's because he's so all around. The brother can sing. He's just funny naturally. He can act. He's just, he got so many talents. Jamie got so many talents, but people are gonna believe what they want to believe. But you have to understand, whatever you do believe, right? Believe. I ain't saying no, but what you believe has a lot to do with your inner being. It has a lot to do with your light body, your true light self. And a lot of us have a lot of work to do in connecting with who and what we really are versus what we've been conditioned to be. You know what I'm saying? Versus allowing that false self or that ego self which is that version of us that has survived all this time, so that you want to be able to just be who you are. You want to thrive and not survive. But anyway, I tried to cover everything. I made sure I wrote notes, but I might have missed a couple of things. So if there's anything you want to share about the movie, anything that you caught that I might have missed, anything that you want to elaborate on further, feel free to do so in the comments. Drop your comments and make sure that you like and share the video if you really rock with the video. But I had to go ahead and get this breakdown done because it really struck me spiritually that I had to express what I saw from this. So, but that does it anyway. I'm gonna wrap it on up, everybody. Y'all be good. Peace.